morning. Welcome to our math video of the week. We're looking at 5.2 using other models to add fractions. So, wait, are we on 5.2 this week? I believe so. What we're going to do is we're going to start adding our fractions using various models. We're going to look at how to do it in a grid formation, how to use some number lines. There's going to be a few different methods that you're going to look for. Inevitably, you will end up really preferring certain ones over others. We're going to look at a few today. So take a look up to the front. The expectation is that when you were looking at this video, you have a copy of the textbook. We won't be zooming into the screen, so if you have a copy of the textbook, you should be able to look very closely and cover this. So first, it says your teacher will give you a copy of the map. We're just doing it together. Map shows a section of land owned by 6 people. What fraction of land did each person own? So I want you to take a look here. And on your show me board, if you look at Chan on the bottom, I would like to see if you can come up with a fraction for how much Chan owns. Now to help you out with that, first we're going to find the area of this garden. So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections this way, and 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. How many sections are in this?
24.
You got 24? Now how did you do 24?
6 times
6 times 4, so 6 times 4. So that's back when we were doing our volume before. So now I notice that Chan has 2 sections out of there. Can I see a fraction on the board? I see a fraction here. Okay, so he's got a fraction of what Chan has. Okay, I see a few. I noticed one said half, and I see there was one set of 2, but he doesn't quite have half. I see a couple there, very nice, very nice. I like that you have 2 of them there, and they are both correct. I like your math, very nice. Ooh, I like it. Excellent, so what we're seeing, the first ones I saw are this. Oh, wait, sorry, not that. The first ones I saw were this. And so what they said is that he has 1, 2 out of 24. Now I'm going to pause because right now someone is drawing and I want to make sure they're with us. Okay. All right. Chan has 2 out of 24 sections, or 2 out of 24. I like to think of 2 over 24 or 2 out of 24. Now, if I were to even go 2 divided by 24, I would get a decimal is what it adds to this, but we'll go into that another time. So then some people said, wait, he has that. You know, this can be confusing for some, because wait, 1 out of 12, yeah, but he doesn't have 1, he has 2, and there's not 12, there's 24. Now, when you look at that, but I would say that he has 1 out of every 12 pieces. So if I counted 12 pieces, 1, I'll count 11 others that aren't his. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So for every 1 he has, there's 12 total in the garden. Excellent. So let's move on. Oh, wait, did I do it with my mouse, Mr. Ewert? I'll scroll down with the keyboard here. So it says you can also model fractions with strips of paper called fraction strips. Now I'm going to show you our fraction strips. I have these lovely little pieces that we can click together. Here's my hands in real time. So if I wanted to say, you know, add 1/3 and 1/4, I could say, okay, 1/3 and 1/4 is like this. And I could say, well, 1/3 and 1/4 seems to be a little more than 1/2. And you can start to see how those add up. And look at that, you see that's almost 3/5, a little under 4/6. And you can start to match up to see where these add up. Oh, look at that, I think I have a perfect match. Look at this. It looks like 1/3 and 1/4 is exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12. It looks like I'm able to find a perfect match. And so this is a way that we can start representing fractions and adding them together. Let's take a look at some of those examples from the textbook. I'll just put these back together so that we can get started. There we go. And these, I have several sets and a few sets up on the board. I love it when students use these. So let's take a look at some of the examples. Whoops. switch that around. There we go. So let's take a look at these examples. It says, let's add a quarter, or it says a quarter is equal to 2/8. Here's a half, 2 quarters, 4/8. You can see these are equivalent fractions. And we can use these to add together. So it says, for example, let's add together a quarter and a half. So let's look at a quarter and a half. Okay, I'm going to take a quarter and 1/2. There we go. Now I want to find exactly how many of something else those are. Does it line up perfectly for the thirds? No, there's a little bit of overlap. Okay. How about the fifths? No. Okay. How about the sixth? No. Oh, we got a perfect match. We have a winner. Okay, so 1/2 plus 1/4 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/8. Does that make sense? That 1/2 and 1/4 equals 6/8? Okay, so we matched those up. Now let's take a look on the board at how this works. 1/2 and 1/4. Well, let's see. I have 1/2 plus 1/4, and we know it equals 6/8. We're going to see if we can work this out.
The bottom is, would be like 2 times 4, which is 8.
Well, hold on. I like your observation, but wait. That reminds me, I have an app to show you later called Calculator the Game. You'll see. These numbers are different, aren't they?
Yeah. Make them the same.
What's the first rule when I add two fractions?
Make them the same.
I need to make the bottom number the same. What do we call the bottom number? The denominator. Because we divide by the bottom number, right? Like 1/4 is like 1 divided into 4 equals a quarter, right? If I cut a pizza into 4, I get quarters. So I need to turn these into 8s. So let's imagine those pizzas. There's a half, plus we've got 1/4. Okay, so there's 1/2. And there's 1/4. But we want to turn these into 8s, don't we? Okay, so I want to turn it into something over 8 plus something over 8 equals 6/8. Well, how many 8s in a half? Let's see. Quarters, 8s. There, that's 8s, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. How many 8s in a quarter?
2.
1, 2. Okay.
There we go.
So half and 4 8s, is that the same? Same? Okay. 2 8s and a quarter, same? Cool.
Then you just add them together.
Same. 4 plus 2, 6.
6 goals.
Wait, not like this?
No.
No, denominator stays the same whenever we're adding. Because, let's see, do we have 6 8s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6/16 would be really small. 6/16, oh boy, well let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Boy, we gotta cut these into 16ths. Well, those are getting really small, aren't they? Well, 6/16 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's less than half, and we know we already have more than half. So it must be 6/8. Okay. Now, if you just got to the end of that explanation, you went, what?
Yeah.
You might want to back up and give it another watch, or we'll go over some more examples here. So let's take a look back at the textbook examples. So here we had the quarter and the half, and they did what we did. They had the quarter and the half, and they found that they lined up perfectly with 6 8s, but it also lined up perfectly with 3/4. Wait, 6 8s, is that equal to 3/4?
Yep.
Yeah, we simplified it. Look, divided by 2, divided by 2. But we'll get back into that a little later. I don't want to be later on that. Let's keep on the visual models. Let's take a look on a bit of a number line. Now this is where you go, oh gosh, Mr. Ewert, a number line? But wait a minute. Let's go back to where we were. Let's take a look at these. A half and a quarter. Oops. Let's 6/8. How many of you, when you look at half plus a quarter, 6/8, how many of you that makes sense? That they line up the same, that a half plus a quarter equals 6/8. Okay, I see a lot of hands up going, yeah, that makes sense to me. But wait a minute, isn't that a number line? That is a number line. So let's take a look at that. Let's make ourselves a little number line. We got 0, 1. All right, I'm going to pause the video. I want you to give yourself a number line. All right, welcome back after those advertisements. Today's sponsor is Nike. Just do it. No, I'm just kidding. We're not sponsored by Nike. We would never do that. But we do just do it. All right, let's rock it. We got a half. There we go. 1/2 plus 1/4. There we go. Got a quarter. I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to mark my half. Awesome sauce. So what is that up to? Well, we're doing a number line. We got this. Like we did this, and it made sense. So we're just going to show you this is a number line. Personally, I prefer blocks. I like drawing blocks. And whenever I get stumped on a number line, I draw blocks, and then I convert it into a number line. So that's what I'm showing you. Well, wait a minute. Hey, isn't that the same as 1, 2, there's my eighths. Isn't that the same as 6/8? And that's what we showed over here. So I could say that's the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/8. I could say that's the same as 1, 2, 3/4. Look at that. You know what? I'm just going to run over to my blocks while you finish, and I'm going to make sure that they'll line up with the blocks. How many of you think it's going to line up with the 3/4 of blocks? There you go. Okay, let's take a look. And I got my quarters. Is it going to line up with 3/4? Bingo! It lines up with 3/4. We have now created a number line out of blocks. How many of you prefer blocks to number lines? I do. Maybe it's the same format that we do. So whenever it says number line, just change it over to blocks in your brain, and then you can convert it to that number line format.